But I think the development of full artificial intelligence could spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1 0 1 1 1 0 1 1 6 3 2 9 7.
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is a Thursday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things, you may wonder? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We got a doozy for you tonight, per usual. Make sure you've done your mental yoga tonight, the stretches. I don't want anybody to throw anything out and have a brain cramp tonight. So make sure you've done all your appropriate stretches for this conversation, because this one is going to bend your brain. As we do this, we're streaming this on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And of course, we're taking your phone calls as part of this show, as part of just part of a conversation, right? Don't forget, this is no Ministry of Truth situation. This is not mini true. This is, well, just us talking about stuff and about the possibilities of what the future may bring. And of course, we do some mythology in the past, and kind of do that synchro mysticism stuff. Shout out to the Night Stalker out there. I see you, buddy. And I mean, look, this is, like I always say, it's just a conversation. This is not about a particular situation of truth. All right, your truth is yours, mine is mine. We'll get together. We'll talk about it, okay? That's what this is about. It's what it's always been about. So everybody relax, everybody chill, everybody put your feet up, get your favorite beverage or your favorite smoke or your favorite snack, whatever it happens to be, and strap in, because this is going to be a doozy, all right? Now, like I said, we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, taking your ideas into account for the show as well, so I'm reading the chat in all those places, and also on the Discord, so you can join the Discord at troubledminds.org, click the Discord link, and it'll give you a direct invite, all right? And also, the phone number to call if you want to be part of the show tonight is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. And let's see. We're also broadcasting on the Fringe FM digital radio. You can help the station a number of ways. Please do this. Go join that Discord as well. It's the same program. It's a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free. And you just go to fringe.fm/chat. We'll give you a direct invite there. And I'm watching that chat among all the other chats and trying to take your ideas into the show, and then we'll do this together. The other way you can help the Fringe is by downloading the Fringe app. Go to, of course, your app store, whether it's Apple or Android, and it's completely free. The easiest way to listen to Troubled Minds from 7 to 9 Monday through Thursday. Just smash the play button. You get me, you get us, you get these conversations, and of course you get all the rest of the amazing programming that happens on the Fringe. Speaking of which, shout out to Jess Rogie. I see you in the chat out there. How are you? And I will be on the Jess Rogie show tonight. Michael Strange and Jess Rogie conquer the world at 11 p.m. as well. So we'll have this show, then we'll have Joe Roop Lighting the Void from 9 to 11, and then from 11 to 1, I will be back with Jess to do another show. And there you go. So, okay. So there's the ways to help. Download the Fringe app. And all right. So here we go. Now this gets nuts. Check this out. The world we live in, I tell you what, may you live in interesting times. I always say this, and it is a damn fact anymore. All right. Let's begin here. I got a special co-host tonight for Troubled Minds, and I'll get him on in just a moment. But for right now, we'll start with this. I think he's running a little bit late, so we'll get him on in just a sec. We're going to start with IFLScience, of course, which means I freaking love science. Yes. And here is the article, and it begins like this. Hologram technology allows woman to answer questions at her own funeral. Okay, this is a little bit odd and weird. It understandably shocked funeral goers, all right? An AI-driven chatbot technology has allowed one woman to answer questions from beyond the grave at her own funeral, with mourners able to dive into her fascinating life in a morbid but futuristic tribute. The technology was provided by her son, who runs a company that creates, quote, holographic conversational video experiences, all right? And allowed Holocaust campaigner Marina Smith, MBE, to be present in a sense, according to son Stephen Smith, reports The Telegraph. Mrs. Smith passed away in June of this year, and her funeral was held shortly after in Nottinghamshire, UK. Having led a meaningful life educating people about the Holocaust, her family wished for her message to continue after her death, and the holographic experience during her funeral allowed just that. The experience used StoryFile, an AI conversational bot that uses 20 different cameras and recordings of the subject to create a digital holographic clone that can be interacted with. While the experience was powered by AI, the answers given to questions were entirely Mrs. Smith's own words. Now, this is creepy, right? We've talked about this in the past, and the idea of sort of this digital immortality, right? Immortality is one thing, but a digital version of that really starts to become a little bit creepy, because how on earth do you sort of pass down a legacy after whatever, right? Here's one way, a digital legacy. But what about this digital soul, or the digital, whatever this becomes? I don't know. And I think as technology starts to become, let's say, more and more able to deal with this, with huge databases, huge hard drives, things like this to store this type of data, we'll get some amazing things happening. So I did say tonight we're going to have a special guest on the show, and we are actually. And it looks like our guest has checked in. So give me just a second. I'll get our guest dialed up. And actually, let's watch this video real quick. Let them get settled, and then we'll get to our guest in just a sec. But this is the actual. It's called StoryFile. All right, this is the technology that makes this work, and I want to play this video for you guys so you see exactly what we're talking about regarding sort of this digital representation of yourself. And here we go. This is from the StoryFile website, and it goes exactly like this.
At the heart of our human adventure is curiosity. We question everything. It's how we learn, how we connect, how we preserve our past, and envision our future. Now imagine a future where you could ask anyone, anywhere, at any time, any question.
At StoryFile, we created Conversational Video. It's the revolutionary technology that allows video to talk back.
What's your story?
My name is Hank Thomas, former freedom rider, always a freedom fighter and a revolutionary.
We believe that technology is designed to support people, not the other way around. That's what makes our technology more human.
What are you looking forward to next?
You know, I'm really excited by what you and I are doing right now. Just think of what the possibilities are. I'm excited by what we're doing.
Talking with conversational video will soon be an integral part of our daily lives. From museums to hospitals, entertainment.
I'm so very proud of you for being on the nice list.
Oh my god, I was talking to real Santa.
To education.
How do you get to the space station?
So when you launch on a rocket, you don't launch and immediately dock to the station.
Customer service.
Where's your company based?
Sales.
The car comes in 5 colors.
Training. Recruitment.
Okay, I think you get the picture. This video is linked in the description down below if you guys want to check it out. But let's actually tail in our co-host for the evening, and let's do this. We've got with us tonight none other than the famous William Shatner. Yeah, I can't believe it. We've become friends in the last several hours here, and he agreed to be on the show tonight as sort of an impromptu co-host. It's pretty incredible. So everybody knows William Shatner, of course. He's from Star Trek, right? The original Captain Kirk, and he wow, like he's the guy, right? Space and the final frontier, right? So I want to say a warm thank you and welcome to Troubled Minds, Bill Shatner. Thanks for spending your time with us tonight, and I got some questions for you. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's get to exactly your life in the words of Bill Shatner. Why don't you just tell us about yourself? And instead of me rambling on, let's hear it in your own words.
Well, my story begins in Montreal, Canada, as a youngster growing up in a big city. I had my two parents were loving, and I had a good upbringing, and I had a good schooling, and I went to the good schools of Montreal, ended up at university in Montreal. So I was a Montrealer in Quebec, Canada, until I was 21, and about 22, 23, I left Montreal and headed to the big city of Toronto, where I was a professional actor for several years, and then as a result of work went on to New York City and began as a professional actor in New York City, which brought me to Los Angeles, and I made movies, and I did plays, and I did series, and I did commercials, and I did theater work, and I did touring, and I wrote books, and I wrote, I was a documentary maker, and I was an interviewer of shows. I'd made albums, musical albums. I did a lot of things where I had the opportunity to do, and I took advantage of the opportunity, and on occasion I did well, which provided other opportunities. And I continued that action until I reached an old age and wouldn't even give up then.
Fantastic! Wow, I'm still beside myself. I can't believe we actually have the one and only Bill Shatner with us tonight as sort of an impromptu co-host. And by the way, guys, this is not William Shatner. This is the AI tech that we're using as Bill Shatner as our co-host, and I'm doing a impromptu. He's doing the co-host business with me now. Well, at least for tonight, based on this technology called StoryFile, and this is exactly the same technology wherein they used for this individual to appear at her own funeral, okay? So thanks for being patient with me, Bill, while I ramble on a little bit here. But, I mean, you were probably most famous for Star Trek. If you got to explain why that term, space is the final frontier, is so poignant and sticks in the zeitgeist even today, how would you explain that to us? I know it's complicated, but I appreciate your time, and take your time. Go ahead and let us know.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's it. That's all we got, Bill? Okay, well, this AI isn't that smart. Here's I was messing around with this before tonight. So no, guys, this is not actually Bill Shatner. This is just the AI. This is from StoryFile, and you could type things in, and there's sort of these pre-canned answers. Here you go. Here's another one. Damn it, Michael, you got me. Yeah, we don't have Bill Shatner on the show. That's why it's got the little star in the thing. Here you go. Let's put this up real quick. But and we'll get back to Bill in just a sec. But see the little star at the end featuring William Shatner? Yeah. Okay. Anyway, terms and conditions apply. All right, let's get back to Bill. Why don't you tell us about Spock? That's probably your most, let's say, memorable on-screen, let's say, partner in crime. Everybody loves Spock and Leonard Nimoy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your relationship with the man we affectionately know as Spock?
I was asked to do a Red Cross dinner at Mar-a-Lago a few years ago. My friend Leonard Nimoy had died, died unexpectedly. He was dying, but he died that day or the previous day. And his funeral was at the same time that this charity event, which was raising millions of dollars for the Red Cross. So, I'm going to go to the Red Cross. And so, when I got up to say a few words to these 1,000 people, 100 tables, 10 people at a table, were there to see other people and myself, I said, Leonard Nimoy just died. In the very near future, we'll ask who. I'm going to die within a very days, weeks, certainly months, not years. Who? Long forgotten. The thing that you will be remembered for, not consciously, they won't know your name, but that will be your legacy, is the good deeds you're doing here today. That will reverberate as care is taken for some individual who'll care for somebody else, who'll care for somebody else. So I chose to come here tonight to be with you, to tell you about this life-changing thing you're doing as against somebody who I loved, who is dead, and will soon be forgotten.
I don't think you got to worry about that. Sorry to interrupt you. Sorry, Mr. Shatner. So I don't think anybody's ever going to forget you. The original Captain Kirk, we're talking Star Trek. There's so much that you've brought to the world. So I appreciate you spending your time here. Thank you for being gracious with that. And we are doing this live to take phone calls. So if you guys have questions for maybe Bill Shatner, we can do that, and we'll ask him some of the things, some of the ideas you have. But we are doing this live to include you. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to, I'm not sure who this is. You're on Troubled Minds. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Greetings. Lego Dago. I'm calling from Chicago.
What's up, Lego in Chicago? Welcome to Troubled Minds. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, I'm just letting you know it's great to celebrate, and I just finally decided to get my words out there.
Okay, fantastic.
And I'm the guy that was throwing out the lines. You know who I am, LGODEGGO.
Okay, all right. So
I know you know. You've been talking about that on HK Jam. I'm that man that's been banned. And it was fun because I put some hard truths out there and made people aware of things that were going on for all these years. And it was just breaking my heart, and I had to make it known. I'm tired of it. You got to realize I'm tired of it. You see what's going on. Right?
Yeah,
so,
of course.
I just want to put my works out there. I have my site, and I put them out there already. So I've written a book to resurrect poetry, words that meant a lot to me. And it was thrash, heavy metal, hard stuff. You can understand when they're jamming it, but boy, could they jam. And when you get down and reminisce and think about it, go back and read these lyrics of their poetry, it really sinks, and it hurts, and it makes you think. and really think, and your mind wanders, and you realize that we've been deceived for so long, and it's time to wake up, right?
I agree.
And I'm just very emotional, but you can ask me whatever you want, but I'm just here, and I'm happy to be here, but it sucks to be banned from that show for just exposing some truths that in my heart, especially, that meant a lot to me. So now I have my words out there on the page, and I think I got them out there. I shared it with a very kind spirit who helped guide my hand with these words to get people to understand and help them know that we're dying in our mind, and we need to wake up and realize this. So go ahead, talk to me. How are you? It's good to be here.
I'm good. So here's the thing, right? We try and talk about a topic here. What do you know about this new spiritualism? Meaning, we've been talking to Bill Shatner here, and sort of in form of an AI.
Hi, Bill. It's so wonderful. I'm so impressed, and I've just been blessed to be in your presence right now. I forgot all about you, man. And me and my dad used to watch you all the time growing up, and it was just so fun watching it with him.
Okay.
And it was awesome. And
okay.
I'm thankful you're still alive and still kicking it. He died at 56. I was really young, and it sucked.
Okay, all right. So what do you, wait. We only have so much time. We can't let you just monologue here. So what do you know about this technology? This actual technology. We're talking to Bill Shatner. Again, it's not the real Bill Shatner, but he's sort of in this hologram form that I'm asking questions to.
See? All right. What do you want me to ask him?
No. What are your thoughts on this whole thing? This whole digital persona. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's really cool because I was like trying to type words, doing the typing when I was writing, and it seems like something else was trying to put awful, mean words instead of what I wanted to say. And it seemed like I was fighting a negative influence, you could say. And something spiritual happened to me. It happened last year when I came up with this idea to resurrect the poetry, and it was from the band Anacrusis, and it was a song called Child Inside, but all their words to many songs of those they're just beautiful poetry. The Child Inside, it's really touching, and it will wake you up, and if you just silently read these words and contemplate and think about what they're talking about and what this world is really about, we're living to live for living, not dying.
Yeah, amen.
We don't want to be in fear of dying. Not at all.
Amen.
We live to die, but we want to have fun doing it. We want to express our individual spiritual talents that we do have. So the spirituality part, I think, is cool. So I think there's a dark magic happening, and it's in the dark world of the government. And they are doing no matter what they can. They're doing everything they can. I'm glad I stood up to them, and I'm not standing down because we need to distribute all the wealth to all the nations and focus on the needy and just take care of each other. That's all we need to do. And focus on love. Eliminate the hate.
Amen. I appreciate the phone call. We're out of time here, so I got to let you go, my friend. Lego in Illinois, thank you for the phone call. Thank you for listening. Have a fantastic night, okay? Appreciate it.
All right, you too.
Thanks a lot. Wait. There you go. Easy as that. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. We're here tonight with William Shatner, the famous William Shatner. That guy, except, well, not really. It's an AI representation of him, and he's answering questions from us because all I got to do is type it into the chat box here. So I'm glad Lego there brought up life and death, because I'll ask Bill Shatner about life and death when we come back after the break. But the question for you guys, of course, is, well, what about this technology? What is this going to look like 100 years from now? Are we actually going to be able to, I don't know, maybe our entire formative years in school are going to be spent recorded, and then they're going to be able to play this stuff back, and it's going to be just, I don't know, weirdness. What is this going to look like in the future? Is this impressive? We're going to play a little bit more from Bill Shatner tonight, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Maybe presiding over your own funeral in the future? 702-957-1037. That's 957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with William Shatner tonight. Wink, wink, not really. And we're taking your calls. Don't go anywhere. More of all this. More Bill Shatner. Wink, wink, not really. And you when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And tonight, we've got a special guest on the show, none other than William Shatner. Wink, wink, not really. He's just a hologram version of Bill Shatner. But I'm asking him some questions tonight, and we're getting, well, some feedback from Bill, my good friend Bill, on Troubled Minds. Love to hear your thoughts about this. What does this technology look like? And this is the same technology they used to allow a woman that just passed away in the United Kingdom to appear at her own funeral and actually take questions from the people there. And it's a little creepy. It's a little creepy. So I'm glad that Lego called and asked about, talked about sort of life and death and maybe what the implications are and how we got to do the right thing. And, let's ask Bill about that real quick before we go to Matt in Colorado. Hang tight just a second. I got a question for you, Bill. Thanks for being patient with me and while we do all the commercials and whatnot. But what is your opinion on what happens when we die?
Well, we know that our elements recirculate. We go back to the original chemistry from whence we came, which is stardust. So eventually we end up back in the stars one way or another. For example, again, another song. I now want to be buried as a tree. They make pods, which you place the dead body, and then you bury it, and you put a tree to gain its roots on your body, and you live again through the tree. So I wrote a song called I Want to Be a Tree. And, I started lightly, I want to be a tree, I want to be a tree. And then I end the song with, I want to be a tree. And I genuinely want to be a tree. I prefer a sequoia, but they can't seem to. But, one of those long-lived fir trees will do, pine trees. But I want to be a tree. That's how, I don't want a memorial and here lies to be desecrated at some point in time. A tree. And renew the life force everywhere. So, life after death. I don't think there's a heaven where the bad are punished and the good are rewarded and the pearly gates. That's not in my belief system. There are Eastern religions who think of reincarnation. And as long as it isn't like your spirit enters a cow or something like that, I think reincarnation is closer to the truth. But reincarnation through the evolution of billions of years of disintegration, there's a theory of...
I'm sorry, you're rambling a little bit, Bill. I'm going to have to cut you off there. We got an important caller on the line. Looking to hear from you. What do you guys think? This is not the real William Shatner, of course, because I'd never interrupt him like that. but it's AI. And I'm asking him questions through the chat box here. And he's pre-recorded a whole just him kind of talking about stuff for who knows how many hours. And you can actually ask him questions, and the AI will parse the question and find something that he talked about and give you some sort of similar response. So, sorry to be disrespectful, Bill. I am a big fan. We're here with Bill Shatner, and well, only in digital form. Love to hear your thoughts on this. What about this technology? 702-957-1037. Thanks for being patient. Matt in Colorado. You're on Trouble Minds with Mike and Bill. Go right ahead, sir. How are you?
Well, I think everybody should grab their fire extinguisher, sit down, and put the fire department on speed dial, because we're going off the hook tonight.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Be honest, did I fool you? Did you think it was Bill Shatner at first?
I reluctantly will be honest and say I actually thought, oh my God, I can't believe we got him on the show. I'm so glad.
Nice. Thank you for being honest. So what are your thoughts on the technology? This is pretty cool, right?
I think, I like to look at things that let's put the pros on the left side of the page and the cons on the right side of the page, and then compare the two lists. And so, or you could say the benevolent uses, the malevolent uses, that sort of thing. I think that's always a good way to approach things. I think in terms of this technology, on the pro side, the plus side, is that people can be immortalized in a way that would ordinarily not be. In other words, what I mean, for example, if somebody writes a book and the book becomes popular and famous and well read, they almost become immortal. We're still reading books of people that died 1,000 years ago. Okay, so this gives their thoughts, like you were just reading from William Shatner, or the AI was, it gives them almost immortality that they can pass on to future generations, share their wisdom, share their thoughts, share their experiences, and that can be a very beneficial thing. And it could be used in a way that could give that to, let's say, the average person that wouldn't be the person that's going to write a book that gets on the New York Times bestsellers list and would otherwise be immortalized and go forward in the future. So that could be a very useful and beneficial aspect of carrying the knowledge of humanity forward in time, of positive people, good thoughts that would benefit other people in the future. Now, if you want to look at the con side, then what about the character of those people that are kind of jerks, the people that are spreading propaganda, etc. And if they're immortalized, then their influence on humanity, on people, is propagated in a way that is not beneficial, but is more sort of detrimental and malevolent. And, I'm not going to name names, but let's just say there's certain people in the world or politicians that I really hope that they don't get their stuff recorded and influence future generations, because I don't think it would be beneficial. Do you understand what I'm saying? What do you think about that?
Oops, muted myself. Yeah, I think this is weird, because this is really, really cool that, you could like think about it, like all the conversations that we've had over the years on this show, like if you could somehow synthesize that into a knowledge base, right? Even if it's, drinking the maybe juice knowledge base, it's a maybe juice knowledge base, right? And you could sort of put that into one big AI situation where all of the knowledge of this show that's ever happened was available on a voice prompt. You could say, what did Troubled Minds think about this? And AI would parse all of that and be able to spit you back relevant parts of us talking about that. I mean, like there's some like, and I'm saying us because, you know, let's stroke the ego here a little bit, but also like, just think about that in terms of, I don't know, college classes. Think about that in terms of, right, like you name it, and sort of that AI, let's say sci-fi future of, you know, walking up to like a digital library, and instead of like asking in particular terms to check out this book about this thing, you just ask like a hologram the questions, and maybe you get Bill Shatner like describing this stuff to you, or who knows, right? I mean, it's wild, man. Like it's absolutely like we're almost there. Like I was impressed. I was messing around with this this Bill Shatner bot before we started, and I actually never got a response from him that was like, yeah, like when we first started, and I was like, damn, I worded the wrong worded the thing poorly when I asked the question, and that's why he said yeah. But I actually asked him a similar question previous to the show, and he rambled on about it. And I was like, damn, this guy's good, right? This thing is good. But anyway, back to that idea of like this repository of knowledge, right? As long as we have like the computing space and the database is big enough to kind of control and handle and parse all this with, you know, the coming supercomputers, this is nuts, man. This is like the encyclopedia of the future, and with all of us involved, and it could be pretty incredible.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking about. My thoughts as you were talking went to like, this is kind of like if you imagine like a personalized or a personified version of Google, right? So it's like you can ask anything, and instead of giving the repository of knowledge of Google, it gives the repository knowledge of people, individuals, their thoughts, which may actually be kind of better than Google, but it's actually similar because, you know, what's in Google, a bunch of things that people have published, web pages, etc., which ultimately are coming from the thoughts of individual people. And it is interesting to think about it as like a synthesized database of somebody's knowledge, humanity's knowledge, taking it out from the personal level to the global level. And so in the advancement of this technology in the future, you have almost a repository of knowledge that is available, accessible, and being worked through by AI, that it brings it all together, finds the most relevant response. Like I said, very similar to what Google is doing, but is actually giving it to you in the words the person spoke, the actual experiences of their lifetime, that might add a level of accuracy, a level of detail, a level of emotion that just the text on the screen or the quick responses of Google don't give you. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, it's nuts. This is wild, and there is that idea that I like how you're describing like this emotional response. I mean, Bill is a great storyteller, Bill Shatner, right? And you ask him some of these things, and he, you know, just sort of the warmth where he's describing this in his own words with his own feeling. You know, I think there's something to this. I think imagine if you, like I said, the big database of maybe teaching people with this type of tool, and you know, you just program like physicists talking about physics, and then you can kind of pick their brain in like this AI setting, and you know, or Stephen Hawking or something like before he passed. If that, like, think about what like an immense base of knowledge he would have been. So I mean, this is cool, man. Like this is pretty cool. Do you have a question you want to ask Bill while you're here? So we can do this. Let's do this. I'll make this happen. So if you guys have a question you want to ask Bill Shatner, wink, wink, the digital version, just call in and let me know what the question is, and I'll type it in and we'll ask him. You got a question for Bill while we got you on the line here?
Well, I would think maybe two questions, you know, the age-old question, the meaning of life. Maybe also, are we alone in the universe?
Okay. All right. Bill, we're here with a good friend of mine, Matt, in Colorado, and he wants to know, what is the meaning of life?
You know, it's shocking to me too, to everybody, that it's possible there's no meaning to life. Why should life be meaningful? What's the meaning? What does that mean, meaning? God, you are worthwhile, but you die. You are worthwhile, though you stole. You're Bernie Thingy, who stole $5 billion. But your life is... Come on. I saw a serial killer being ushered into his cage, and he's looking back at the camera and he's saying, I know I'm going to heaven because I've just accepted Christ. And he's killed like 17 people horribly. What?
Okay, yeah, maybe there is no meaning in life. Thanks, Bill. I appreciate your time. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for putting up with our crap at Troubled Minds. So Matt in Colorado has one more question for you, and he wants to know, are we alone in the universe? How about your thoughts on that? Because I think, in terms of, let's say, getting that answer from anybody, I mean, space is the final frontier. You're William frickin' Shatner after all. So what do you think? Are we alone in the universe, my good friend William Shatner? Let's see. End up sloppy typing. Go ahead, Bill. Sorry to interrupt.
So I have been interested as a result of playing Captain Kirk in Star Trek. I was actually interested in science fiction and all the possibilities, the potential of science fiction before Star Trek, but Star Trek and its popularity, and people asking me, what do I read? And so I read a lot of science fiction and started to write science fiction. I met Eric von Daniken, who has promoted this idea that aliens have come to Earth and helped mankind with all these projects that have no explanation. There are huge rocks and slices of ancient of concrete and I'm trying to think of the name of the rock, basalt, that have been chipped away, formed thousands of pounds, and somehow ancient man, before the invention of the wheel, got the rocks hundreds of miles in some other direction. There's no real explanation on how they did it. Now, in Egypt, they say they chipped away.
I'm sorry, Bill. I'm going to have to cut you off again. You're rambling on a little bit. So I think he's trying to say, Matt, ancient astronaut theorists say yes. But anyway, your thoughts on the rest of this technology?
Well, that's funny because I was really tempted to jump in and cut him off too and say, yeah, I'm sorry, William, you're rambling here. But, I think, one quick sarcastic comment is I'd really rather kind of talk to the AI version of George Carlin than William Shatner. I'm just, I think George Carlin was enlightened.
Yeah, and again, unfortunately, right, we lost George Carlin a little too early for that. So I guess maybe you can recreate a George Carlin version of this with like his videos and whatnot. I mean, I guess that's totally possible. So, and this is what we're talking about, right? We're talking about this technology again, guys. We're going back to this hologram technology allows women to answer questions at her own funeral. So I started poking around and seeing what kind of technology this was, and there's actual like working demos on their website. It's called StoryFile.com, and I linked it in the chat. You can ask William Shatner whatever you want, and like I don't know how many hours they spent recording him, but if you do it appropriately, I and maybe I framed this and took the I probably could have made this seem a little more realistic than it did, but it's still like if you ask the questions like you're talking to a human being and they answer you, it gets weird, doesn't it? This gets weird, man.
Yeah. Cool stuff. And, I watched, I can't remember the name of the series I watched recently, and they actually had one of those basically hologram funeral things. And, so this is another instance of a science fiction movie you're watching on Netflix that was recorded 3 years ago, and now today it's coming out that they're actually doing it. And this is another instance of where this technology is going to continue to advance. Just to reiterate, I think that there's a lot of very possibly beneficial, really cool aspects to this, but there's some, or possibly a lot, of very quote negative aspects of that. Like I said, there's some people in the world that I wouldn't really appreciate their philosophies and worldview and propaganda to be being spit out to people. And reiterate, they're people that, like, when they pass away, I'm glad they passed away, and I don't want them to be exposing other minds to their thoughts. I'm glad they're gone, and their influence on the world is gone. Now, with this technology, it would give them the ability to extend that influence, basically indefinitely through the digital world, and still 50 years from now, people would still be able to be exposed to their, basically nefarious ideas. That's a
Yeah, I agree. And so imagine, and of course now we're talking about the big databases of like Google or whatnot, and how you type into a search engine and they kind of parse what they want you to know, instead of like a full conversation of like the possibilities on different ends of the spectrum. So I mean, of course this is going to be ripe for abuse, just like anything else is. Like you said, maybe propaganda. Ronald adds in over on Rockfin, like, wouldn't this sort of like kill actual like eyewitness testimony, or this, let's see, Ronald says I'll read it in a sec, but I mean, there's a lot here it starts to become a little bit let's say dystopian, and that's that. I appreciate it, Matt. We're running out of time, so you got like a minute left to wrap this up, and then we'll keep on trucking.
Well, yeah, okay, so your last point was an important one. So already today, when you search for things, what you're searching for is being controlled by algorithms, and they're feeding something up to you. So even if this technology was really good and beneficial, you don't think that, now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 50 years from now, when you search and use this technology, it's going to surf up what's actually being controlled and fed to you? Well, you're kidding yourself. Of course it's going to be. It already is. So that's a downside. Hey, man, appreciate you having me on, as always.
You're the best. I appreciate you listening and dipping in here and giving us your thoughts. And thanks for doing the inauguration of asking William Shatner a couple questions from the audience. I appreciate that very much. Matt here in Colorado, good friend of mine, good friend of the show. He's got a book called Escape the Matrix and Explore Reality, A Guide to Radical Transformation and Empowerment. Link is in the description down below with a coupon code for a free version. So go get that. I don't know what you're waiting for. Appreciate it, Matt. You're the best. So we're here. We're still here with William Shatner, guys. Wink, wink. Star. Conditions and apply all the rest of that stuff, right? Not really. It's an AI. It's an AI replication on StoryFile of William Shatner. And so we're asking him some questions tonight. So if you got questions for Bill, let me know. We'll put him in the chat and ask Bill and see what he says. Bill and I are becoming pretty good friends. He seems pretty relaxed here on Troubled Minds, so why not? But love to hear your thoughts on this technology. What does this look like for the future? Is this sort of like we're describing this in terms of, well, the new Google database will be some sort of holographic 3D representation when you walk into this like Hall of Records library and say, I want my information from Tupac the librarian, and boom, Tupac appears, and you ask Tupac the meaning of life, and Tupac tells you the meaning of life, right? I mean, or teach me about quantum mechanics, and Tupac teaches you about quantum mechanics. Like, what's going on with this? What do you think? Do you think this is terrifying? Do you think this is awesome? Do you think it's somewhere in between? Love to hear your thoughts on this StoryFile technology, and of course, being able to basically preside over your own funeral, which is what's just happened in the United Kingdom. 702-957-1037. That's 957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with my good friend William Shatner. Wink, wink, not really. And we got the Night Stalker on the phone. We're going to go to him as soon as we come back. Don't go anywhere. More? The new spiritualism and our digital legacy. And, of course, Bill Shatner. Wink, wink, not really. When we return, be right back.
You're listening to Troubled Minds. Join us as we discuss an upside-down world that nobody seems to notice.
We are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So we got, all right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? We're doing this live to include you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are we doing? Yeah, talking about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Looking to hear from you. We're talking about this idea tonight of, this new holographic technology, right? That allowed this woman who passed away to actually appear at her funeral and take questions in real time on a video screen from the people that have attended her funeral. Links are in the description down below if you want to read these articles and follow up. And it got me thinking in terms of, well, what does this technology actually look like? So what did I do? I called up my good friend, William Shatner, of course, of Captain Kirk fame, and I said, hey, you want to demo this technology for us? And he said, absolutely, Mike. We go back so far, I couldn't leave you hanging like that. And of course, it's not actually William Shatner. It's actually him as part of this technology. They recorded him, and he's got some answers, and if we got some questions to ask, we can ask him questions, which we've been doing a little bit for the first half of this, doing a little bit of role play madness here, trying to trick you guys. So if you weren't paying close attention, you may have been tricked in that I actually got William Shatner on the show. No, it's just a hologram version of him, a video hologram, and we can ask him questions by typing it into the thing. You can actually do the thing like a hold to talk, but I don't want to give the browser my microphone access because it'll mess things up, like for the radio show, so I'm not doing that, but you can do that. I'll put the link in the chat, and you can actually just hold down like a push to talk and ask William Shatner, something, and it'll type the question, and then he'll respond to you, right? And of course, he's not going to be able to cover everything, but he's been talking about some pretty impressive stuff so far. I asked him about Spock. I asked him about himself, and he says he's born in Quebec. Is it Quebec? I don't know. Somewhere in Canada he was born. I don't know. Sorry, Bill, I wasn't paying attention. But right, so pretty amazing stuff. Asked him about the what happens after you die, and he had some pretty good answers here. So what do you think about this technology? What does the future look like, and is this too creepy? And 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Let's go to Derek the Night Stalker. What's up, Derek in Massachusetts? You're on Troubled Minds. You got a question for Bill?
Hey, Mike, great show. Hey, Mr. Shatner. It's an honor to talk to you today. I'm really sorry to hear about the loss of Uhura, of Michelle Nichols, recently. It must be a tough loss for you, Mr. Shatner. But I'm really glad you made the time to come out here today for us. How's my audio and everything? Do I have too much background noise?
No, you sound great. Sound great.
All right, beautiful.
Go right ahead.
So I got a couple thoughts on this. So we can't ask any questions on the spot, right? Is that
you can. I'll just type
numerous. Okay. I'll wait for that for a second. But as far as like the idea, like Matt was saying, or the idea, or you were saying earlier, the idea of like having this Google database of all these holograms and stuff, and I think like this absolutely will happen, and we'll kind of be in this weird, like right now it's kind of be the time where it's almost going to be like time travel to an extent. Like it would be beyond just like going back to like Caesar and popping a Caesar AI up there. They're going to like, you'll be able to go into these like rooms and stuff, entire like holographic areas, and create entire scenes and have entire experiences. Like feels like you're actually in these locations, So basically it would be like an alternate form of time travel in that way. But because it's using data that we're giving it, there's going to be this weird effect where kind of right now the picture is still kind of blurry, and it's becoming more and more rendered. But like say you want to go back to a time in like the 80s and 90s, like they're going to be using data based on like very, very early internet or like home movies or if you were on TV. But for the most part, they're going to be like making it up completely. It's going to be the guy trying to make it up. Whereas like if you're in the year 3000 and you want to go back to 2022, you have a lot more video, you have a lot more data to pick from, to choose from. And especially if they're phrasing it as like stories or whatever the brand is of this, like Facebook, their little reels, they're like TikTok versions of videos. They call them stories. And like Instagram, you have stories and stuff. So that's just like collecting this massive amount of data. We talked about it before with the like Google Glasses and stuff, the idea of creating like a currency experience. You just have people like pointing the cameras outwards and just recording everything that they're experiencing, So with that, those scenes and those worlds are going to be very easy to render. And especially like anything like that was alive since or anybody who's alive since this idea kind of was incepted, then they can record stuff like Shatner did. You can have actual like canned responses, and it'd be much easier for the AI to pick and choose because you'll be like recording it to be curated like this. Whereas if it's pre the invention of this thing, then it's going to be much more like an uncanny valley, or we're going to have to understand that it's not as accurate. Like we're going to know like, well, like before 2022, that stuff is not so flexible. Like for like school papers and stuff, how back in the day we weren't allowed to use Wikipedia because it's not that reliable. People can change it and stuff. So in the future, you'd be like, okay, you guys can use anything from like 2025 and on as your sources for your term paper on some ancient conqueror that you can talk to on this hologram problem. But if you pick somebody before 2022, you can't use the holograms as a source because it's not accurate. It's just the AI talking to you. That's and anyone can kind of change it, or your responses might not be real and that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And then obviously that in the question of like, if the AI is rendering the answers and stuff, rendering the responses, and if it is using as like a teaching tool or a history tool, if we put all of our knowledge and history on this cloud in this like time travel hologram database, then I mean, winners control history. Like that's going to take a whole new meaning, like who's to say, like the people can program whatever they want into it. And then a whole nother slippery slope when the AI wakes up and decides to change our history for us. all that kind of stuff. I'm out of breath. What do you think? Sorry.
Yeah, no, exactly right. It's super weird that so once you do this and you get, and I think that the odd part is you're describing sort of an approximation of all the words or syllables one could speak, and then being able to put all that into a database with your mannerisms, and then have that regurgitated in any order whatsoever to say whatever it is you want them to say. And so if you have this machine, something like the Ministry of Truth going through and editing history, which is again, it's happening now. It's happening with Google and all the rest of this stuff. They're doing it right in front of us. They're just removing things from the internet, expecting that it'll go away forever. And that's a bad. It's a bad look. It's a bad way to be. Yeah. But in this is again, abusing this could be super easy once you get a big enough data set on enough people. I mean, think about this too. Like we're talking to Bill Shatner. He's great. I'm actually a fan, so I'm making fun of him a little bit. But I think he's fantastic. But imagine like if you did this with like Donald Trump or something like that. Like imagine like asking Donald Trump just some random crazy questions, and some of the responses you would get from Trump, it'd be like, what in the world is going on right now?
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead. I know you got a question, which we'll get to in a second. I got it ready to go. So, but what else? What else is on your mind?
Anybody behind me? Can I hang on for a second? Or is there a caller behind me?
We do have got a couple calls, but go ahead.
All right. Sorry. Yeah. So just with the idea of like the clarity of the picture and everything, how like if they were trying, obviously when we get to a certain level of AI, then it's just everything's gonna be equally as clear. If like a recorded response will be the same as if an AI mishmashed response or just imitated your voice or whatever. But until that technology is perfected, it's going to be much easier for the AI to imitate Michael Strange now that you have 400 plus episodes that everyone should go back and listen to and stuff. It has many, many words and many, many inflections and tones to choose from. So like the picture of Michael Strange in 2022 and beyond is going to be much clearer than if it tried to like, let me talk to Strange in 1995. Like that version is going to be nearly entirely AI unless you put like home videos up in the cloud, you know? And then there's all kinds of stuff with like haptic technology and holograms and that kind of stuff. And just, I don't know. I mean, just to throw that there for later callers, but the idea of like porn where VR hologram crazy porn for anyone in history, and just like you want people to be able to manipulate and use like the Shatner. Like I'm sure Shatner won't mind having his likeness be on this amazing show that is Troubled Minds. But like, let's say you were a jerk, or let's say you were some sex pest and you decided to queue up some other person's hologram and do some much nastier stuff, or do some much weirder stuff. This gets into all weird likenesses and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, my questions for Shatner are basically during your long time in Hollywood, TJ Hooker as Kirk, as all these greats, have you noticed, you rubbed elbows with the biggest, have you noticed any weird occult workings, any weird beliefs in your time in Hollywood, Mr. Shatner? Mike, sorry for rambling.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand that.
Yeah, I'm sure you didn't. Yeah. Likely story.
I actually asked him before we started tonight, tell me about Hollywood, and he went on at length about Hollywood. So interesting.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, this is probably the same guy. This is a less advanced version of the one that they took up to space, that Bezos brought up to space with them. You know. So I don't know. What are his thoughts on Cthulhu and all that kind of stuff? You know me. I'll take off though. Oh, and Rivers had a question about just for fun, we were talking Predator and Prey the other day, that if he thinks if Shatner and Kirk, if Kirk and Spock could take down the Predator, and what he thinks about all these reboots and everything. But let you go. Awesome show, Mike. Sorry for rambling and talking too fast.
You're
working
good, man.
As usual.
No, you're good. You're good.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, Mr. Shatner. It's an honor to talk to you. Later, brother.
Thanks, Derek. Derek, good friend of mine, good friend of the show, the Night Stalker. Give him a follow. He's got a YouTube channel. Links in the description down below. And yeah, let's not be rude to Mr. Shatner, because we don't want to get sued, guys. Don't get me sued. Don't be mean to Mr. Shatner here, because it's not William Shatner. It's just an AI representation of him answering some questions. But I did ask him earlier about Hollywood, and interestingly, he. So I think if you ask him something off the beaten path here, you can't cover it all in like an afternoon session. So he's going to say something like, "Sorry, I didn't understand that." He's going to say something like this, right? If you ask him something really off the beaten path. So no, you're good. You're good, Derek. Fantastic stuff. 702-957-1037. We're here with a digital version of William Shatner. Again, this is not the real Bill. This is just a joke. It's a representation of StoryFile technology, storyfile.com. You can go to this. The link is in the description down below, and you can ask William Shatner questions of your own. Let's go to Nick in California. You're on Troubled Minds. Thanks for being patient. Go right ahead. How are you, sir?
Oh, yeah, no worries. You know what? I am one of those people that you tricked. No joke. I was like, how did Michael Strange manage to get the Shatner on the show? You know what, Mike? I give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, you know what? He must have pulled some strings. William Shatner seems like a very, kind of forward-thinking type dude, and he probably said, hey, I might as well jump on the show and talk about aliens and stuff, so... you got me. You definitely got me.
Nice. Nice.
The technology behind it is really interesting. As I was listening to you and some of the other callers kind of discuss these things while you're asking the AI version of Bill Shatner some questions here. The first word that came to mind was legacy, right? Beyond, Shatner participating in this type of program and that lady who had passed on, and she kind of used this as a way to communicate to her loved ones at her funeral, to capture the essence of, I guess, your soul or consciousness in the digital space where you can exist post-mortem is really interesting. And this type of scenario has kind of been covered in sci-fi and in so many different instances. I think the first movie that came to mind when I was looking at the technology, reading the article, was the movie, the 2002 remake of the 1960 Time Machine movie. But I'm a younger guy, but I saw the one starring Guy Pearce, the one that came out in 2002, based on the H.G. Wells novel, and I believe in that movie, I think Orlando Jones plays this type of AI avatar in the museum or the library, I forget, and he's essentially telling Guy Pearce's character about the history of the world and what's going on and what time period he's in and what's happened so far. And it really, I'm an optimist when it comes to this technology, but then I kind of remembered what Matt brought up. Matt from Colorado, he brought up about if there's a proliferation of, quote unquote, capturing the essence of someone's soul or consciousness in an AI space. I mean, what does that mean if there's this mass proliferation of legacy building post-mortem? I mean, is it possible to bring back, terrible people like Hitler or Mao or people far worse throughout history? And will we be getting advice on how to cook omelets from some of these people too? Or, I mean, will this technology just be so proliferated in the future that there'll be no checks and balances, and that it'll be used for nefarious means? I mean, what do you think about some of that stuff? Because I know he brought that up, and I was thinking to myself, I'm like, knowing human beings, while we're going to pull out a lot of good from something like this, where we could ask, William Shatner questions about life or the universe or anything like that, down the road, people will use this technology for some kind of nefarious end. I mean, wouldn't you say so? I mean, what do you think about that, Mike? I don't know.
No, I think that's where this is going to head. They're already talking about deep fakes as sort of the next terrorist threat, because without verifying, let's say, you get somebody calling for World War III from let's say Vladimir Putin or something like that, in a deep fake very similar to this, you would have to be able to determine whether it was real or not. And if you have a head of state deep faked like this, how would you determine it initially and immediately when steps need to happen if this is real? And so this is the type of stuff that more like propaganda, disinformation in the modern age is you can create things like this. And we saw this like a few years back. Somebody did Obama, right? They did like this, where their face was sort of like had these little things on it, and as they moved their mouth and imitated Obama, they had Obama speaking on a different screen, right, with his real face. So we knew this was coming, but now like this here is like a whole next level, because there is no digital recreation. It's a video of the guy saying stuff, and you're able to sort of ask him these questions from this database of that the AI matches your question to something he said. It's wild, man. And the more you talk about this, like the more, let's say we got, instead of Bill for an afternoon, let's say he did this for a month and just basically told like his life story and talked like everything, talked about everything, man. Like, scary. It's scary what this can be done, what you can use it for, basically. I think you're spot on with that.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's great you bring up heads of state and the actuality behind certain, well, excuse me, not the actuality, the reality behind a lot of the decision makings and the consequences of let's say deep fake technology and the artificiality of projecting not only I would call these these AI avatars, so to speak, right? From an outsider looking in, if you weren't familiar that this was kind of now a mainstay part of the culture, I mean, you could think this is literally the individual, the group, the organization, determining things, deciding things, demanding things. And on a humorous note, I know I see quite a few Trekkies in the chat, and I'm a Star Wars guy myself. I'm sorry, I don't want to start a war in the in the chat, but I did enjoy Star Trek. I there's a lot of good stuff that comes out of that series, but I don't know if you've seen Galaxy Quest, but that's probably one of the best parodies or homages really to the Star Trek lore. And the aliens in that literally saw the show Galaxy Quest and called those the historical documents, right? So in our future, if we're incorporating a lot of this technology and we're using it for all these different things, whether they're humorous things or they're serious things, to an alien species that maybe, depending on what you believe in and what type of species exist in the greater realm of the universe, right? If they're not familiar with Earth culture and they're looking at all these deep fake avatars and they're doing things and they're saying things and they're basing all of their knowledge off of what they're seeing in the AI space, I mean, are they going to go the route of those aliens at Galaxy Quest and literally call all this stuff historical and authentic because we're starting to blur the lines? I mean, that's kind of an interesting thing to think about too, because if we're playing around with this stuff to the point where it's so seamless, it's uncanny valley and beyond, I mean, forget humans. I mean, what about alien species, right? If let's say there's if this technology is incorporated to have the president of the United States, come out and say, like, declare war on an intergalactic level in the future, as silly as that may sound, sounds like something out of Futurama. But what if them looking in, they're determining if that's true or not based off on how seamless the technology is. I mean, that's interesting to think about too. I mean, I think that, like you said, we're heading down. We've already jumped down that rabbit hole. I would even go further than Matt from Colorado and say that, I think we're way past the point of bringing back some of these horrible people also, because if you think about it, a lot of our radio and television signals have probably been picked up by somewhere out there in the great void of space. And unfortunately, just like that movie Contact, I think Hitler was like the first ambassador to space because of that. Terrible, because I guess aliens picked up the signal. But I think we've already gone too far down the road, and I think it's only a matter of time before it becomes so seamless and scary that we won't know the difference if we're talking to a human or an AI. I don't know.
Exactly. And so before you go, we got like a couple minutes left. Do you have a question for Bill? You want to let me know what it is and we can role play it like you ask him as I type it in? What would be your question for William Shatner?
Yeah. You know what? You guys have gone really deep and really spiritual and just very thought provoking. I'm going to throw a softball to Mr. Shatner. I'm going to ask him, which do you prefer, the Big Mac or the Whopper?
All right, you got it. Let's see if he will answer you. Let's see if I can type. Let's see. Oops.
So that's a great question. I don't have an answer for it exactly, but I have something that relates to it.
Oh, okay. I even botched the typing, but I think he got the context.
I guess he's thinking more of the gluten-free Whole Foods burgers. I think, I don't know,
or something. I can't believe he's eaten many Big Macs or Whoppers in his life.
to reach Bill's age of, oh my God, I think he's like, what, 90, 91 years old?
He's 90.
That man is like, you know what? If I'm half as cognitively, he has some kind of elixir at home or something, because that man does not look or act like a 90-year-old man. And I don't want to, put some kind of hamper on anyone who's of advanced age, but man, he's sharp as ever.
Yeah, agreed. I was thinking the exact same thing when I was doing this. So we'll actually ask him about death when we come back after the break here, because I was asking him some pretty, like you said, some pretty deep philosophical type stuff, and he seems to cover it. It's interesting, definitely interesting. I appreciate the phone call, Nick. You were the best. Thanks for listening. Thanks for admitting you were fooled about the fake Bill Shatner, and thanks for the question. Always a pleasure, brother.
Oh yeah, no problem, man. Hey, thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great night. Appreciate that. That's Nick in California. We're taking your calls, right? We're here with the fake William Shatner, which is, of course, just an AI representation thereof, and even taking some questions to Bill. What are your thoughts on this technology? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We got MJ on the phone with a question for Bill, and your calls as well when we return. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss this new technology. That's right. There was a hologram technology that allowed a woman to answer questions at her own funeral. Super creepy, right? Well, I enlisted the exact same technology from a place known as StoryFile.com, and I noticed they had some individuals on there as, let's say, demos, right? Demos of real people that had actually sat down and recorded video and, set this up to be sort of this AI avatar of themselves through this video representation. And I noticed Bill Shatner was on there, William Shatner, and I was like, hell yeah. So I started typing in the chat box, asking Bill some questions, and it's impressive. It's impressive. Are you not impressed? I really am. 702-957-1037. Sorry to keep you waiting, MJ. You are on Troubled Minds. Go right ahead. What are your thoughts on this technology first, and then we'll get to your question for Bill in just a sec. How are you, bro?
My thoughts on it is it's good for entertainment, but when you ask a question, they're trigger words in order to get the answer out. The more complex they become, it's still going to be a set of trigger words. Let's say, on a map, you're going from your house to a grocery store to a shop someplace, and, a Google map, it shows you 3 different ways to get there. But you get to the same place. So if you ask the same question, but you rephrase it a little differently, it may take you down a different path, but you still get to the same spot. So it may say something differently. To me, a lot of it's just programming and just trigger words.
Yeah, well, exactly. So the AI is going to be able to, through the algorithmic process, use keywords, right? You're calling them trigger words, but it's just a keyword process of like responding to exactly those keywords. And that's the thing too. So it's not necessarily how they answered it. And Bill's, like I said, I'm a big fan of William Shatner. So let's not punching bag the guy. I think he's fantastic, but he is, like myself, a little long-winded sometimes, and that's good. That's probably the best way to be be able to get an individual like this that just talks and talks and talks, because you can, kind of slice up parts of their responses with a very good AI, right? And make, pull 2 sentences out of like 14 paragraphs and answer kind of succinctly too. So this is nuts. This is just in its infancy, but I think that this is fantastic. I'm impressed that you could actually ask questions and the guy answers. The guy actually answers.
Well, in a way, it would be good for teaching. I would say something more advanced, like possibly math, things of that nature. And that could be a teaching tool online, but you'd have someone you could ask questions to. Usually right now when you go into a college and whatnot, you've got programs and you can call them up to ask them, questions. Are not always available online. This would be something for, I think, an educational use. It'd be good. It could be good there because you could have variables in the math of let's say it's English, lit, or, anything. And they could have programmed into them hundreds of years of all this math and the outcome of it, just the simple stuff. You want to take the older algebra because they have this new math that came out, different aspects of it. You can stay in there and get your questions asked, and it could be in a very complex way enough that you can get, answer, and you can re-ask it again and again and again until in your head, you can get it right in your head, or maybe they say it differently to trigger you. Part of it is the human aspect, the intuitive, to feel it through, to answer the question a little bit more deeply, to more intimate to the person. That's the only thing I see is the intuitive missing.
Yeah. And as that goes, I think that it'll get closer and closer to exactly that. So I don't know, man. I'm impressed by the technology, but so what about you? Would you do something with this? Let's say that, and I got to admit, right? I'm watching Bill Shatner here to talk about his life and talk about his experiences, and I think it can be incredibly valuable, right? If it's not this technology isn't abused. And what I mean by this is I was wishing in the moment I was messing around with this, the fake Bill and asking him questions before the show. I was wishing I had digital representations of my grandparents in their own words, describing their own stories. I mean, that would be incredible. And, but I don't. They're gone. Most of my grandparents are gone. So it's, this could be a very good thing. I think that in those terms, right, sort of a remembrance of not just, the memories you have, but their memories they're giving to you, giving to the world. Crazy stuff, man. Crazy world we live in, eh?
Yeah, well, again, even if let's say it's your grandparents or someone you're familiar with, because Bill Shatner's face is very familiar, so it's familiarity on that to help people accept what that's about. When you have your grandparents, the one thing that's going to be missing will be a little intuitive, because when you're around people, there's that natural connection we have to one another, and that's the only thing that's going to be missing. It'll be a replica of, it'll be say the right things, but there's just not going to be that human connection. Other than that, for the most part, it would be pretty real, and you can get a lot. I think it'd be good educational-wise if they're programmed to cover a broad area to answer a lot of different questions, about whatever subject it might be. But it depends on how it's programmed.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing. So it's not necessarily how the individual would answer. That can be gamed by that algorithmic manipulation. And that definitely part of this. So I do have your question here. Do you want to ask Bill your question?
Yes, because I rearranged the question a little bit. Okay. Ask Bill what his take on is the bases on Mars and the Super Soldier Project.
Okay, 1 sec. Let me formulate this just appropriately. Let's see. Okay, hold on. I'm pretty sure I know what he's going to say here, but hold on. Here we go. All right. Typing it in, and here we go. All right. So let's role play this appropriately, and you ask him the question one more time, and we'll get the response from the digital William Shatner.
Okay, Bill. What is your take on bases on Mars and the Super Soldier Project?
That's I guess, a good question for somebody, but not me, because I don't have an answer for that. I have answers for a lot of other things.
There you go. 404 error.
Ask him what his shoe size is.
Okay. All right. Let's see if this works.
No, man, that's boring. Ask me something more interesting.
There you go. All right, guys. We're here with the digital.
Yeah, this thing's no good. It's no good. He won't answer any questions.
No, I mean, come on. He's kind of right. The shoe size. I can't say it. Yeah, I mean,
it's simplistic.
Yeah. But it is creepy. It is creepy because it is such a pretty good representation. I mean, he's sitting there like blinking, staring at us, like waiting for the question, nodding his head, like he's part of the conversation. It's so crazy. What else you got for us tonight, my friend? I made you wait a very long time, so making sure I give you your time here.
Well, that's about it, really. I think it's interesting, but see, I was thinking about going back to school. I'm getting ready to get the internet again. And it dawned on me, if you had something like this, you could re-ask the question over and over, and the teacher or the program could, keep answering the question until you finally got it. So, like I said, it's not always easy to get somebody live through the internet. Like you go to a college or something, you can't get people live all the time, or you have to email a question in. This type of thing. And I think this, if it's, like I said, programmed right, I think it'd be great for something like that. But because I've got other questions that, be kind of rude questions to see, I know the answers aren't going to come out, but I think education-wise, I think it'd be better. But the problem is, who's going to program it to the education, and what do they want you to learn? You know what I mean? Exactly. Like to control the education.
Yep, it can be abused. Because the answers you get are going to be curated by an AI that's parsing that data and giving it back to you. So yeah, 100%, you're spot on. Thanks again for being patient. Thanks for the great questions for our good friend Bill. And now you can say you talked to William Shatner. You're the best, MJ. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Have a great night. There you go. What do you guys think? So I'm going to ask Bill another question here because why not? While we got him, it's one of those rare instances where if you get William Shatner, I think you should probably ask him some questions. So let's talk about death a little bit and what this means, right? So Bill, thanks for being patient. Thanks for hanging out and taking questions from the audience. I appreciate your time. Let me ask you this. If you had to describe to us what the legacy of Bill Shatner is, how would you put that into words, my friend?
The future of Bill Shatner is very limited. I'm 90 years old, and I was looking at a picture of a guy who was 100, and he's making it. I'm 100, and I'm going to run. Is that going to be me, or will I die before that? So I made a joke. I had a joke going in a one-man show that I was doing, in which I was offered a lifetime guarantee, and I said, "Whose lifetime? Don't make it mine." And that's my future. If you got a lifetime guarantee on something, don't make it my lifetime. That's my future.
Okay, that's a little bit dark, but I mean, it's not, you're 90 years old. You look great for 90. I got to tell you that. Absolutely fantastic. And so there's some cool hints over here on the left side. You can click these, and it'll give you like questions to ask him. So let's see. Let's hear what he thinks about this StoryFile process, which is the technology we're using to actually ask Bill Shatner some questions. Let's see what he says regarding this particular technology.
Being asked questions that you might not ask yourself ever, and being forced to look into the cavern of your mind and see the shadows on the wall, is a very profound experience if you allow it to be so. If you allow yourself to talk about yourself in a very meaningful way, as though you were addressing a friend, a family member, a child. You're addressing the future. And you don't know when you leave your chair that you won't fall and die. And one of the things that is left of you, and perhaps the most intricate thing that's left of you, will be this tape, this interview, I urge you, like I did, to scour your experiences. There's nothing that you can say that we wouldn't be interested in, even though it might not apply to the question. I urge you to take advantage of this moment to be meaningful, to give of your heart and your soul, because this is what will remain of you.
Okay, well said. That's a fantastic answer. We're here with the quasi Bill Shatner, of course, William Shatner. I'm a big fan of his, and I'd like to thank him for spending his time with us tonight. He's not actually, by the way. This is just an AI from StoryFile.com. Links in the description down below. You can ask William Shatner your own questions, right? And that's what we're doing tonight, discussing this technology. It started with this, all right? This, again, from IFLScience, which is I frickin' love science. Hologram technology allows women to answer questions at her own funeral, right? And so clearly people were shocked because they put her up on a screen, they're remembering her, and they're actually able to ask her particular questions, and she's answering them, these questions about her life. They've gone through this process. This again, it's called StoryFile.com. They've asked her these questions regarding all manner of things. She's told her story. She's somebody who teaches about the Holocaust as a Holocaust survivor, and when she passed, she wanted that legacy to actually to stand, to all of that work she did. She didn't want it to just go with her when she went, and so they recorded this. Her son works for this company, and they were able to create this version of her, afterlife, digital afterlife version of her, with right here at the funeral, which we're doing sort of, and with Bill Shatner. He's still with us. He hasn't passed on, but this is one of those things that's as a representation of what this actually is and what this technology is. And like I said, I'm a fan. I've always liked William Shatner. And speaking of which, let's do this. Let me ask him a question. Because I think this type of stuff, right, when you can laugh at yourself, and it's important, right? And I always talk about my ego, and my ego is as big as the sun. Let's ask. One of the things I've always admired about Bill Shatner is his ego, because it's like he's unflappable. He's like an unstoppable force. This guy, he's just like he's doing his spoken word poetry on the stage, and it's like, whoa, bro! Like, have you guys seen Rocket Man? Type Rocket Man in Google. Rocket Man, William Shatner. And just watch. Anyway, let's see. Here we go. Let's do this. So Bill, with that said, the ego is a very important part of being a person, but your ego is legendary in a good way. I mean that literally in a complimentary fashion. So tell me how you've dealt with your ego over the years.
Well, my story begins in Montreal, Canada, as a youngster growing up in a big city. I had my two parents were loving, and I had a good upbringing, and I had a good schooling, and I went to the good schools of Montreal. I ended up at university in Montreal. So I was a Montrealer in Quebec, Canada, until I was 21, and about 22, 23, I left Montreal and headed to the big city of Toronto, where I was a professional actor for several years. And then, as a result of work, went on to New York City and began as a professional actor in New York City, which brought me to Los Angeles. And I made movies, and I did plays, and I did series, and I did commercials, and I did theater work, and I did touring, and I wrote books, and I wrote, I was a documentary maker, and I was an interviewer of shows. I'd made albums, musical albums. I did a lot of things where I had the opportunity to do, and I took advantage of the opportunity, and on occasion I did well, which provided other opportunities. And I continued that action until I reached an old age and wouldn't even give up then.
All right. Time and pressure, right? Like I always say, time and pressure. It's hard to argue with the formula, right? If you press and time and pressure and put all your life's work into something, and don't let anything get in your way, well, you too maybe have a long and successful career like our friend William Shatner here. So I can't thank you enough, Bill, for being here with us tonight. I'm really honored that you would spend time with the lowly audience of just us troubled minders. And I mean that in the best way, because, well, we're not worthy. We're really not worthy. And even if you are a Star Wars guy, I think you got to appreciate William Shatner for the legend that he has. And so, well, that's what's up. That's what we're doing tonight, guys. We're here just talking about, not the real William Shatner, just the digital version of him. And this technology called StoryFile.com. And let's see, anybody else have questions for Bill? We got a few minutes left here, and got a few minutes if you want to chip in and give us your thought on this technology. I thought it would be a fun idea to go through and ask Bill some questions and see if we can put him through the ringer a little bit and have him tell us about ourselves and himself. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. You can click the Discord link at troubleminds.org and we'll put you on the show. And that's that. It's as easy as that. Let's go through a few more questions here. And so, they have these things here, these hints where they kind of have these canned questions you can ask him. So how about this? Mr. Shatner, what exactly do you believe is the meaning of life?
It's shocking to me too.
Actually, we already asked him that. Let's not do that. Sorry to interrupt you, sir. Let's see. Here we go. Mr. Shatner, what do you think we need more of in the world?
Any act, I don't know why, but any act of generosity just moves me because generosity is very rare. Only certain people are generous. Most people are there. I don't know, it's just mine. I don't know but generosity is a human thing, although there are many stories of animals who have been generous. I heard a story of the generosity of animals. This is a story that I believe is true. So in the middle of the Pacific, a fishing boat with Asian fishermen on, who were running these long nets. They don't, they're just getting as many fish as possible to sell. They're not into being kind to animals. And the fishing boat sinks. And they're in the water in the middle of the Pacific. And suddenly they feel their feet are on, is it solid? No, it's not solid ground. Something is under their feet, and they're riding, and they're being pushed, and they're being pushed to an island where they are saved. And they realize that porpoises are swimming underneath them, helping them get to this island. So the joke really is, who in their right mind, now you're in the Pacific, puts their foot down, feels something, and it's pushing me as against, there's sharks and out of it. So the whole story is rife with, mystery and lovingness and generosity of that entity. Kindness of animals at times is like overwhelming. But to have a gesture like you just said is so. On the one hand, you have these hateful people and you think, how could somebody act that way? And then you have somebody else saying, we'll help you. Somebody's going to help me raise money.
Wow. Well said. Well said. Absolutely fantastic, Bill. I got one final question for you because we're running out of time here. Have you ever had a paranormal experience?
I have not seen a UFO. I yearn to see a UFO. I wish I could see a UFO. I've talked to really intelligent, conscious people who have seen UFOs. So, I wrote a song. I came across a word and an explanation. It's called fata Morgana. I came across this word. What is a Fata Morgana? Well, Fata Morgana is the effect of a cold layer of air and a hot layer on top of it, okay? Inversion. And it seems that you can get a reflection over here to hit the angle of the cold, hot layer, and it reflects down here. And what you're seeing is happening way over there. And that's the explanation of a mirage. You think you're seeing trees and a pool a few miles down there, and when you get there, it's gone because it's an illusion. The song I wrote is about love and the illusion of Fata Morgana. It is possible that all that we're talking about, these strange things we see in the sky, both with our UFOs and recently there's footage on a city hovering over the ocean. The explanation is possible.
Okay, Bill, thanks for being on the show. I appreciate it very much. You've been listening to Troubled Minds. Special thanks to William Shatner for being on the show tonight. Not really, it was the digital representation of, but he is a fantastic storyteller. I'm a very big fan, and again, this is not him. Links in the description. You can ask him questions yourself by typing them in the chat down there. So as we finish, it goes like this. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for some bonus time at Troubled Minds. Don't forget, tonight I'm going to be on the Jess Rogie Show at 11 p.m. as well. We'll see you guys then. And in the meantime, be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. A little bit of bonus time for Troubled Minds. If you got phone calls, you want to add more to this, you want to push the envelope here of asking Bill Shatner some questions. He's actually graciously agreed to hang out a little bit longer with us. So if you guys have some questions with for Bill or myself, or let's say you want to riff on the technology, let's be kind to the man. Like I said, he's been very gracious with his time and very forthcoming with his answers. So let's not ask him derogatory things, because, well, you've got the link. You can do that on your own, where we don't have to put it on a show and embarrass ourselves. But if you have actual questions you want to ask Mr. Shatner, he's waiting. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And there you go. I thought it would be funny, and it turned out to be kind of funny. It's unfortunate that the question I asked him early, he was like, huh? Yes? Or something like that. He had some really weird answer, because I could have maybe fooled a little, maybe a few more of you. But but I don't know. Let's see. There you go. What's going on, guys? Just chilling, doing the thing. A little bit of a bonus time here with Troubled Minds, and hanging out with Bill Shatner, my good friend now. I can't believe he's agreed to stay a little bit longer. I mean, this is pretty wild. We're honored. We're blessed by his presence here. So what do you guys think? This technology is a little bit creepy, right? But like I said, I think it's impressive. I think the scope of questions that he answered in that William Shatner way, which again I think is fantastic, this is a representation of what they can do for us in the coming days, coming future, right? And I saw this. So if you go to the website itself, StoryFile.com, you can actually see that they say, I saw one of these articles, I was reading up on this, that you could actually purchase a package here for as low as like $48 to get yourself on the on this, right? It's absolutely insane, some of this stuff. They got like a try it for free. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this. And of course they got, William Shatner sitting there waiting to answer some questions. But look at this. This is pretty wild, right? We've got these other story files where you click all and you get these different people. There's Tim Draper, there's William Shatner, Reggie Van Lee, we got Terry Virts, we got I don't know who all these people are, but right there's a lot of people here that they've kind of done this technology to. So let's see, started the Freedom Riders Foundation, former police officer and security guard at Pulse nightclub during the massacre. Let's talk to this guy. Let's talk to Omar and see if we can get an answer from Omar here. Pretty wild stuff. So what do you guys think about this technology? And what's up, Omar? Welcome. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike. And let's just do this.
My name is Omar Delgado. I was born in Puerto Rico. Lived and grew up in Chicago, and moved down here to Florida. I want to say maybe 1999, and been living here ever since. Father of three. I have two boys and a little girl, and that's pretty much about it.
Okay, all right, there you go. And so let's see. Hints. What are some other things here? So he was a security guard at the Pulse nightclub at that horrific shooting. Let's see. Talk about that in particular. Let's see. Law enforcement. Let's see. Anyway, I don't know. This is a little bit dark here. Sorry, Omar. You're amazing. But let's go back to Bill. We started with Bill. Let's finish with Bill. We got some questions. Let's type in some questions for Bill Shatner. What do you guys think? What do you think about the technology? Like I said, I'll kill it because you guys have the link and you can talk about you talk to Bill all night if you want to. He's basically waiting on call for you to to give him some questions here, and you can. So you basically just you click the thing, you type your question in, and here you go. Let's do this, and then we'll go to Matt in Colorado in case he has anything to add here, and then we'll wind this down. This is fun, but let's see. So of course, Mr. Shatner, being a huge fan of yours and Captain Kirk, the role you played on the Starship Enterprise, can you do us all a big favor and just talk a little bit about space?
There is a web of material, I think, binding the Earth together. I think underneath the surface of the Earth, there are webs of material that are used by everything. Everything is a web. Our bodies are webbed. Our skin, the manner in which we're constructed is webbed. We talk about, so my mind goes to, we talk about black matter and black energy, dark matter, dark energy. We don't know what it is. It's apparently 95% of the universe. We've never seen it. We don't know. It's a total theory. But if we're webbed here and there, maybe the whole universe is webbed. And maybe the dark matter and dark energy is the web. And if it's the web, are we seeing truly with our telescopes into the end of the universe? Or are we being masked in some manner? We don't know. We don't know any. The key to this, my favorite phrase actually, is we don't know anything. At least I don't know anything. I am a complete ignoramus about everything. You think you know about the speed of light, whatever that is, 460,000 miles, whatever it is. And we think that's the absolute and everything works on that. I'll bet that one day we find that light isn't the absolute. There's something else that is more absolute, more defined. And that won't be sure either, because nothing is sure. The complexity of all of this is so profound. I do not believe it's within the human mind to understand.
Well said. Well said, Bill. That's amazing. I appreciate you your answers. You seem to be one of the original troubled minds here. So William, how did you get your name? This is from somebody in the chat there from APOC. How did you get your name?
No, not that I know of. I was named. My last name is my father's name. My first name, William. I don't think there was a William. I don't remember being named after anyone specific.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine. Anyway, you guys get the idea. Worn this shtick out. Matt, anything to add to this before we wind this sucker down? Thanks again to Bill Shatner for spending your time with us tonight. It's very nice of you. Go ahead, Matt in Colorado. You're on Troubled Minds. You got anything for Bill or anything to add to this conversation?
Yeah, just a couple quick things. I think with this technology, I think really two beneficial. I talked about the beneficial pros and cons and that sort of thing. I think one beneficial aspect would be recording our loved ones, our friends, our family. I've even, done that to an extent with recording my father, who's now passed away, on video camera. And I treasure those, that video of him talking, and it sort of gives you a talking from beyond the grave. And so I think that is something that can be a very positive use of this technology for people. And if this company, if they were like, hey, for, $299, send us the videos and we can turn your mother, my mother's still living, into this and share her thoughts with the rest of the family and friends and humanity, and give her, like I was talking about, that way to sort of go into the future and share her wisdom, I would totally do it. So I think that's great. And as MJ was talking about, I think another really beneficial use would be teaching. And there's something about, impersonal teaching, education, having a teacher there talking to you in voice instead of just a textbook is incredibly important and beneficial, and it helps you learn. So I think that's another really good use of that technology. And in terms of William Shatner's last comment, hey bro, it's 286,000 miles a second, the speed of light. How is it that I know that and you do not? You were on Star Trek. I'm just a regular dude. And okay.
Hey, come on! Don't pick on my friend Bill. Don't pick on my friend Bill. It's not very nice.
I saw all the original episodes when I was a kid. I saw the Next Generation. I love Star Trek. I'm never gonna disparage on it or him or Spock and anybody that was in it, and love it.
All right. Appreciate it. Matt in Colorado, thank you. Another question here from James for Mr. Shatner. Let's do this. So how are you after 2 hours plus of hanging out with the Troubled Minds crew? How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
All right. There you go. The guy's got stamina too. This guy, I tell you what. So all right. I'll wind this down. Like I said, the shtick is old. I did fool. As long as I fooled one of you, mission accomplished. This is not the real Bill Shatner, obviously, but do check it out. Put it through the paces, and check out some of the AI, some of the stuff from StoryFile.com, and then ask yourself the question: Would you do this to yourself? Would you actually record yourself in this setting and be able to share this knowledge with the world? I think it's a fantastic way when you have somebody passing on to be able to keep this sort of within the family, that type of thing. I think Matt's right. It's I find myself watching this, and it does make me wish I had sort of these sort of representations from my grandparents before they passed on. So I don't know. Pretty nuts here. Just the technology, but ask yourself the question, right? Would you want this, or do you think it would distort the memory of the person, or would you do this yourself? Kelly had some great points earlier over on Rockfin there that like why would you do this? Because the technology is always evolving and getting better, and pretty soon you'd just be obsolete, right? And so is anybody going to fire you up from 20 years ago when there's the newfangled thing? I think it's all within the boundaries of the conversation, and that's pretty interesting. Yeah. I don't know. You guys guys have the link, and you can ask William Shatner all the questions you want. Apparently he's tireless. He'll go. He'll continue asking and answering questions. So there you go. All right. So let's do it. Let's get the hell out of here. As you guys know, I'm going to be on the Jess Rogie show tonight at 11 p.m. So I'll see you then. And in the meantime, if you want to help the show, there are a number of ways. Thanks for spending your time and energy with us as always. Special thanks to Will Shatner, because of course I'm a big fan of his, and it's not really him, but I thought it was fantastic that it was kind of built into this, that we could do this, that we could kind of fake this a little bit and maybe act like he was here. And there you go. There's your role play for the night. And so if you want to help the show, there are a number of ways. Number 1, you can sign up on Rockfin. Number 2, Patreon works. Number 3, Twitch is the worst idea because they take 45%. You could get Troubled Minds merch at troubledfans.com. Hats, shirts, all kinds of cool stuff, stickers and whatnot. If you want to help the show and don't have money to spend or don't want to spend money, I get it. I appreciate it. It doesn't matter because you can still help. Do the thing, like share these videos, share the ideas, tell people there's a conversation happening where we don't judge each other and we just talk about the possibilities. It's still possible out there. We're proving it, guys. And there we go. And thank you to everybody out there listening and all the amazing calls. So the way you help the show is share it. Do the thumbs ups, like and share and all that stuff. And also you can listen to the podcast feed. Of course, that's Spotify, that's iTunes, wherever you get your podcasts. It's completely free, limited commercial interruption on there that's monetized. And if you listen to a Troubled Mind show over the weekend or something, it does help. So all that helps. And so there you go. Or spread the word. Put the links on Reddit or Facebook groups or something like this. Easy, right? So if you do enjoy the show and you appreciate the work that I put into this, and not just me, the work that all of us do, because it's again, I'm me, you're you, together we're us. So many great callers make this show go around. If you appreciate it, spread the word. We all benefit from that. Like Night Stalker says, the rising tide, it brings up all the boats, or something to that effect. I don't know. He says it way better than I do. But let's keep the tide rising. Keep talking about this and keep doing the thing. All right, what's up? What's up, John, in the chat? How you doing? Monday through Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific is when we do it, and over 470 episodes on the podcast feed, so go check that out. All right, let's do it. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Thanks again for being part of this tonight. Thanks, as always, thank you for spending your time and energy. That's the most important thing. Special thanks to Bill Shatner for, it is a little bit of parody going on here. It is a little bit of talking about the technology and the rest of this. So we weren't trying to come at him, and this is not the thing. So be nice to my friend Bill, okay? So thank you for that, and let's get out of here. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. We'll be back tonight.
Let me do it. Let me do it. As we get out of here tonight, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. You scared me, man. You're freaking out. Let me do it. What's going on, Matt? You're killing me, bro. This is the thing we got to rehearse beforehand. I'm just kidding. You're the best, bro. We're getting out. We'll be back at 11 p.m. on the Jess Rogie show on Fringe. We'll see you guys then. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for helping finish. Have a great one, guys.